The sun shone brightly over the bustling streets of Tokyo, where life moved in perfect rhythm. Trains humming, businessmen rushing, and street vendors calling out to strangers with warm smiles. Amid that rhythm stood a little girl named Amaya, her small frame hidden beneath a faded gray dress and a red scarf wrapped tightly around her head. Her hands clutched a wicker basket filled with handmade chocolates, their uneven shapes wrapped with trembling care. Her mother had made them before she fell ill, and now Amaya sold them alone to afford her medicine. Each morning, she stood by the grandest restaurant in the city, where luxury cars gleamed and laughter from wealthy diners spilled out through the glass doors. Amaya's worn shoes barely covered her feet, her hair was braided with red ribbons, one of the few bright things she owned. But her eyes held something that neither hunger nor hardship could erase: hope. Before we dive deeper into this journey, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to if you believe that kindness, second chances, and humanity still exist in this world. Because sometimes, one act of compassion can change everything. That day, Amaya's stomach growled, but she didn't let it show. She took a deep breath, clutched her basket, and stepped into the restaurant. The room fell silent for a moment as the sight of a poor girl in a place full of expensive suits shattered the polished illusion of perfection. Conversations paused. Forks stopped clinking. Then quiet laughter rippled through the air. At the center table sat a group of wealthy businessmen. Among them was Mr. William Cato, a powerful investor known for his arrogance and sharp tongue. His dark suit was impeccable, his watch gleamed under the chandelier, and his laughter was as loud as his ego. When Amaya timidly approached him, bowing slightly and whispering, "Would you like to buy some chocolates, sir?" he turned toward her with a smirk. "Chocolates? You think I'd buy those?" he said, his voice dripping with mockery. His colleagues chuckled, enjoying the spectacle. But one of them, a younger man, seemed uneasy, watching the little girl with pity. William leaned back in his chair and added, "Tell you what, little girl. If you can sell me those chocolates in perfect Japanese, I'll give you $1 million. The room erupted with laughter. They thought it was a joke, something to brag about later at their dinner parties. But Amaya didn't laugh. Her heart pounded, not from fear, but from determination. You see, Amaya wasn't Japanese. She was a migrant child from the Philippines, living in the shadows of Tokyo with her sick mother. She only knew a few Japanese words, just enough to get by when selling chocolates on the streets. Her cheeks burned, her eyes welled up, but she held her basket tighter. "Please, sir," she whispered, her voice trembling yet steady. "I don't know much Japanese, but my mother taught me to speak with respect and heart." William chuckled cruelly, turning to his friends. "Respect and heart don't buy success, sweetheart." The words sliced through her like cold steel. She lowered her gaze and turned to leave, but then she remembered her mother's weak voice from that morning. "Amaya, don't give up. Even a small seed grows in hard soil." She turned back around. Her small voice grew firm. She looked straight at William and said, in slow, broken Japanese with a shaky accent, "I will never give up." For a brief second, silence filled the room. Even William stopped laughing. The words weren't perfect, but her conviction was flawless. Her eyes glistened with unshed tears. Her voice cracked, but she didn't waver. The restaurant staff, the diners, everyone, felt something stir inside them. But William shrugged it off and waved her away. "Nice try, kid, but that's not good enough." Amaya bowed politely and whispered, "Thank you for listening." Then she walked out quietly, clutching her basket to her chest. She didn't cry. Not yet. She just walked through the busy streets, each step heavier than the last. That night, she sat by her mother's hospital bed, holding her hand. Her mother's breathing was weak, her lips pale. "Did you sell any today?" she asked softly. Amaya shook her head but forced a smile. "Not today, Mama, but I will tomorrow." Her mother smiled faintly, squeezing her hand before drifting to sleep. Days turned into weeks. Amaya kept selling, learning more Japanese phrases from kind strangers who noticed her effort. She practiced every night, repeating words out loud until her voice cracked. Slowly, she began to speak with confidence, with grace. People started to recognize her, the small girl with a basket full of chocolates and dreams larger than life. One afternoon, as she stood outside the same restaurant, a luxury car pulled up. The door opened, and to her surprise, Mr. William Cato stepped out. He looked different, his smile was gone, his eyes weary. It had been months since their first encounter. He paused when he saw her, almost not believing it was the same little girl. Amaya bowed deeply. "Good afternoon, sir. Would you like to buy some chocolates?" she said in perfect Japanese, her pronunciation clear and polite. William froze. His colleagues, who once laughed, stood awkwardly beside him. The girl who had once struggled to form a sentence now spoke fluently. Her voice carried pride, not arrogance, determination, not desperation. He looked into her eyes and saw something that money couldn't buy: resilience. Suddenly, he felt a pang of guilt. He remembered how he had laughed, how he had belittled her for something she couldn't control. Without a word, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a checkbook. He wrote something, tore the check, and handed it to her. Amaya stared at the piece of paper in disbelief. It read $1 million. William smiled faintly. "I made a promise," he said quietly. "And you earned it. Every bit of it." Tears filled her eyes as she clutched the check close to her heart. "Thank you, sir," she whispered, her voice breaking. "My mother will get better now." William nodded, his throat tight. "You taught me something today," he said. "Money can build walls, but courage breaks them." Word of the encounter spread across the city. People began sharing Amaya's story, how a little girl's perseverance melted the heart of a millionaire. Donations poured in for her mother's treatment. News channels covered her story, calling her the girl who sold hope. Months later, Amaya's mother recovered fully. Together, they opened a small chocolate shop in Tokyo named Kibo, meaning hope in Japanese. The walls were filled with messages from people inspired by her journey, letters from strangers who had found courage through her story. As for William Kato, he became one of her biggest supporters. He often visited her shop, sitting quietly at a corner table, smiling as he watched children run in and out with sweet treats in their hands. The laughter that once mocked had turned into warmth. And Amaya never forgot the day life changed, not because of $1 million, but because she refused to let someone else define her worth. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Thread, because stories like these remind us that kindness, courage, and faith can rewrite any destiny. Before you go, comment below. What lesson did you take from Amaya's story? Sometimes, the smallest voices echo the loudest truths, because even when the world doubts you, your heart knows the language of hope.